Relevant ba ang economics? Oo naman! From adulting up to your favorite series, may economics dyan! Let's talk about them here on ECONvo, Economic Conversations. ECONvo is powered by the Foundation for Economic Freedom and sponsored by Atlas Network. This episode is co-sponsored by the Friedrich Naumann Foundation Philippines.
Okay, class? Bakit napakataas ng presyo ng mga bilihin ngayon? Sa economics, may tawag dito eh. Sino makakasagot?
Ma'am! Ako, ma'am!
Oh, Jasper, ano yon?
Nako, ma'am. Alam ko yan. Madali lang yan eh. Nabasa ko yan sa Twitter kagabi. Dahil yan sa inflammation, ma'am.
Nung college ako, isang economic subject lang yung tinake ko ever. Yun yung Econ 11. So, based on personal experience, tanda ko, yung mga classmates ko, tsaka ako, personally, intimidated kami sa economics kapag may exam na sa Econ 11. Kinakabahan na kami kasi hindi pa namin nagigets yung mga topics na diniscuss sa class. For some reason, parang iniisip ko nun, bakit kaya kahit na social science din naman yung economics, iba siya compared sa sociology or sa communication. Yeah, kasi communication student ako. So, sabi ko, pareho naman silang social science. Pero bakit kapag ka-economics na, mahirap siyang maintindihan? Well, I think number one reason is yung math. Ang language ng economics ay math and models. So, kahit ako noon, kahit ilang beses ko nang inaaral yung modules, ilang beses ko nang tinititigan yung slides, napapakamot pa rin ako ng ulo kasi hindi ko talaga magets yung logic ng mga econ topics. So, kayo ba, Prof. JC, how was your experience nung ikaw yung student na nag-aaral ng econ? Bakit ang daming nahihirapan sa econ?
Well, ang una kong econ subject ever in college ay Econ 11 under Dr. Jerry Sicat. Isa sa major economic managers ni Ferdinand Marcos back in martial law. Actually, maganda naman yung pagtuturo niya. At that time, he came from the World Bank in DC. He worked there for some time. And then he came back to the UPSE to teach. Luckily enough, meron kasi siyang textbook na actually nahahati yun sa tatlo, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and the development issues. I think it's still available in bookstores right now. Pero yung magandang aspect noong textbook niya would be the fact that he made an effort to really relate economics to the Philippine experience in the sense that many of his examples are related to current events, for example, in the Philippines and the usual development issues. So for example, ang isa sa mga distinctive na naalala ko ay when discussing supply and demand, parang nire-relate niya doon sa mga fish pens. For example, in Laguna or in Pangasinan, kung saan kapag bumabaha tapos na parang nagbe-breakdown yung mga fish pens na to ay parang bumababa yung presyo in the sense na parang of course parang relatively mas nagiging abundant yung isda. I think for introductory students that helps a lot, and I also found out in past years that that's quite an effective way of introducing many students in economics. For example, in my classes, I always make it a point to create a Facebook group where I just post links to articles and other references that relate to current events. And many students actually find it very useful when they are able to relate those rather abstract or mathematical concepts to their everyday life, or at least in the news when they see economics in the news. So that's one way to overcome the fact that economics tends to be mathy. Masyadong maraming math, masyadong maraming abstraction. Many people have math anxiety, and it doesn't help when many of the textbooks have too much math or too many graphs. It's a lot more quantitative compared to other social sciences. Pero it has its uses. Kasi, for example, you can really drill down on social issues and human behavior when you try to abstract from reality and remove unnecessary bits, just to focus on certain phenomena or behavior. Yung ganong klaseng mathiness and abstraction has its uses. Pero ayun it's up to instructors as well to be able to find ways to make economics more fun and relatable for their students.
Yeah, agree po ako dun sa sinabi niyo na highly abstract yung nangyayari sa economics. The current way of teaching economics has something to do with the specialization na nangyayari. Historically speaking, kasi before ang economics at politics, magkasama talaga sila under the banner of political economy. So, yung mga thinkers like Karl Marx or Adam Smith, hindi detach yung economics sa politika, basically. So, mas comprehensive yung discussion na nangyayari. But as time went by, mas naging highly specialized na yung economics. Which is good, of course, kasi mas naging sophisticated na yung ways of analysis niya. Mas naging quantitative na siya. Pero ang downside was nawala na yung social context ng economics. Like for example, yung mga basic assumptions natin about human behavior whenever we are looking at it from the lens of an economist. Mahirap siyang maintindihan. Parang personally ako, si Adam Smith, hindi ko siya na-encounter sa economics class. Na-encounter ko siya sa pol sci, which was unfortunate kasi mas ma-appreciate ko sana yung Econ 11 ko kung nagets ko kung saan nanggagaling yung mga assumptions na yun rather than economic professors just throwing them around as if yun na yung standard, parang it is what it is. Kasi parang meron palang sources yung mga assumptions na yun. They did not come out of nowhere. Hindi pala purely objective ang economics kasi nga meron din siyang pinanggagalingan in terms of foundational assumptions. And I think that's important to be discussed sa simula ng mga econ classes. Kasi, I don't know, may tendency kasi na maging generalizing yung mga assumptions na yun ng economics. And at the same time, parang ako, when I was a student, it felt like I just had to memorize these assumptions, these models, and then that's it. Doon na natatapos yung discourse about economic issues. Hindi talaga na-flesh out yung applications ng economics or yung mode of thinking, kumbaga, sa economic issues. Kasi hindi naman monolithic ang econ. Tama po ba? Di ba marami rin pong schools of thought within economics? Yeah,
Yes.
yun po.
Actually, economics used to be known as political economy. Back in the day, yung times nila Adam Smith, etc., and other great economic thinkers, it used to be political economy, and that only emphasizes the fact that economics was really understood and discussed in the context of political issues of the day. So it was only in the 20th century, actually, in the 30s, 40s, na naging masyadong mathy yung economics. And ang mga culprit niyan ay would be sila Paul Samuelson of MIT with his seminal Foundations of Economic Analysis, which in a sense made an effort to unify various aspects or fields of economics by laying down a comprehensive and detailed analysis of what really constitutes human behavior. But this was couched in highly mathematical terms. And since then, that seems to have steered really the profession into that direction of mathiness and abstraction, to the point that currently, the economics profession can really be quite abstract, especially at the graduate level. Yun yung sinasabi namin sa mga graduate students ng UPSE na hindi ito katulad ng undergrad economics. Kung nahirapan na kayo sa undergrad economics, talagang gagapang kayo sa graduate school. Even if you know that you have mastered undergraduate economics, that's no assurance at all that you will do well in graduate level economics. Ganun siya ka-abstract. And even in my case, parang we had to undergo refresher courses. People are highly encouraged to actually undergo higher mathematics if they have plans to undergo graduate level economics here or abroad. Kasi ganun yung demands when you apply in economics departments abroad. They will look for that kind of experience in more advanced mathematics courses. And your success in economics graduate school hinges on your math abilities, for better or worse, like it or not. So in that sense, parang doon mo ma-link or matitrace yung kawalan ng context ng economics, especially in the way it's taught at a very basic level. Na parang yung mathematics focus niya at the graduate level and in the profession itself has translated into introductory courses. So that's one thing that teachers of economics might want to veer away from. Because there's really no reason for economics teachers not to be able to teach economics and its concepts. They don't really have to rely on so much math if introductory level lang naman. And I would even say that when you go to graduate school, parang pinahirap din naman na supply and demand. Ganun din naman yung mga dinidiscuss kung ano yung mga concepts na na-encounter sa undergraduate level. Ganun din sa graduate level. Mas ginawa lang abstract and mathematical. And it's very easy for many graduate students to be discouraged. Maraming nagda-drop out after the first year and they don't see the point of it all. In some sense, they cannot be faulted for that. Pero on the other hand, actually, you will find that for example, in government agencies, in government economic agencies, they really do use mathematical models to understand the economy, to do forecasts, etc. So, gagamitin naman talaga yung mga math tools na yun and statistics tools na yun. Pero if you don't plan to work for an economic agency or become an economic manager or a technocrat, and you just want to appreciate economics, then there's really no hindrance or no reason for you not to enjoy it. And you don't really need all that much math for it.
Naalala ko po si Dr. Pabella, national scientist in economics. One time, nag-uusap po kami and he told me that economics isn't just number crunching. You can crunch numbers, but that doesn't make you an economist. He told me na economics is more than that. It's more than numbers. It's really about getting a story from these numbers and allowing the people to understand what you are trying to weave. Baga, ano yung story na gusto mong i-present sa kanila from these numbers so that not only the public will understand and appreciate it, but also our lawmakers, since very crucial ang economics when making policies that will affect everybody in this country.
Siguro idadagdag ko lang, Cesar, na you can also go the other way around, parang in an effort to avoid all that math or parang quantitative analysis. For example, yung fourth year high school ako, so I also had my first foray in economics back in high school. As it was required naman talaga when you're in a public school, di ba? Pero I remember my teacher actually, well, God bless him, pero he was not really a good economics teacher. And he actually used a textbook by Filipino economist. Pero yung textbook na yun, you will find na meron siyang mga Bible verses. He liked to focus on religion and meron pang mga stances na, for example, anti-reproductive health. So parang very ideological in a way na parang ayun parang there are many ways of teaching economics and you can always choose the lens by which you will do that. Pero parang ibang-iba siya dun sa now that I'm, for example, a professor of economics, having undergone a PhD, I can really say na parang uh, mali yung pagtuturo niya, and hindi na-emphasize yung more substantive issues. For example, competitive markets, monopolies, efficiency, etc. So it's just unfortunate that for many students, that's their initial exposure to economics. So there really needs to be a huge reform in the way we teach economics at the basic level. Not that we want everyone to become an economist, pero ayun parang as citizens, you need some economic knowledge or at least some appreciation for economic issues to be able to be a responsible citizen, to understand the news, to be able to participate in debates. That requires economic literacy. But you won't get that if the teaching of economics at a basic level is not correct or not up to par or not aligned with mainstream economics, or at least what mainstream economics intends to impart. So yeah, I mean, um, the work is cut out for economics teachers out there.
Yeah, I totally agree, Prof. JC. No? Kasi karamihan ng problems natin na nakikita sa news. For example, bakit mataas yung price ng gas? Bakit nagdi-depreciate yung peso? Bakit ang mahal ng bilihin? Lahat yun may kinalaman sa economics, di ba? And minsan, very intimidating nga and abstract katulad sa monetary policies, di ba? So, it's really important na merong background yung average citizen about economics. Kasi kung hindi, definitely it will affect their decision making.
If I may give you an example, recently we have been hearing the Bangko Central and its policy of increasing its overnight lending rate in an effort to fight inflation. Pero when you try to translate that in Filipino, it's actually quite simple. Inflation is ano lang yan, pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin, tapos inaawat yung inflation sa pamamagitan ng pagtataas ng interest rate para hindi masyadong ganahan yung mga tao na mangutang para sa mga bahay, mga kotse. At kapag hindi sila masyadong gumastos ay hindi tataas, walang tendency para tumaas ang mga presyo ng mga bilihin. So ganun, parang even if economists really talk in very abstract or technical ways, there are actually ways by which you can translate that in a manner that will be relatable to Filipinos and understandable as well. So I think every economics teacher needs to develop that skill. And that's exactly what we're trying to do dun sa usapang econ na advocacy namin ng mga friends ko na economists. Then we try to make economics more fun and relatable. Pero there are challenges. Parang you really need to be content creators as well. For example, we have our own podcast. We have our YouTube explainer videos. We're thinking of TikTok as well. So it's a entirely different ball game, communicating economics. Pero I think it's an important task, especially for subject matter experts out there.
Yeah, yan. Nakikinig din po ako sa podcast niya.
Thank you.
Nakakatuwa po kasi konti lang din po yung mga yung mga educational materials in Filipino na nagdi-discuss talaga ng econ in such a way na relatable siya sa mga Pinoy. Pero good thing po, meron din po iba pang initiatives na nakita ko. Like for example, yung ECONcepto, social media page siya. Tapos goal niya rin na i-promote yung economic literacy sa mga youth. So meron din silang mga backgrounder. And I agree na matrabaho talaga na mag-produce ng content online. Effort talaga siya on our end kasi we're also producing this podcast for the very same reason. So it's really a challenge to repackage economic concepts na highly mathy in such a way na maintindihan siya ng mga tao kasi it's really important, especially ngayon, na ang daming economic issues na mahirap maintindihan at saka madali ring ma-misinterpret, especially merong fake news na nangyayari lately. So it's important that Filipinos understand economics and they get to understand how economic thinking works para hindi rin tayo naloloko. And in the future kasi, I think Prof. JC, no, it's very important that the public gets a consensus about economic issues kasi it will affect our legislative process kung ano yung mga batas na susuportahan ng mga tao.
Mm-mm. Actually, yung e-concepto, they're a lot more organized and there are a lot more warm bodies in their group, so they can really create a lot of content on a regular basis. Actually, another thing that I realized over the years is that it's very effective to teach economics and history side by side. So if you are able to relate, for example, recessions or episodes of high inflation to economics concepts that you see in textbooks, I mean that's a very enlightening way of learning about economics, in the sense that you can see these economics concepts come alive when you actually encounter actual episodes of these phenomena in history. For example, at the UP School of Economics, in the past couple of years, we have been offering this course called Econ 118, the Philippine Economy in the 1970s and 1980s. So basically, martial law economics. And actually, many students have come away from this course and told us that this is actually very revelatory for them, very enlightening, in the sense that, for example, they encounter macroeconomics in intermediate macroeconomics in second year, pero later on when they learn about martial law economics in third year or fourth year, parang ito pala yun, parang nangyayari pala talaga yung economics, yung economic phenomenon na nakikita natin sa textbooks. And I mean, that's really quite gratifying on the part of teachers as well, to realize na yung pala yung paraan para ituro yung economics effectively. So unfortunately, there's not much people in our faculty focusing on economic history. But I remember noon, nakapag-teaching fellow pa ako kay Professor Emmanuel De Jos, who taught it in the auditorium. Nakakapuno kami ng auditorium. I mean, there's so much interest in the course na parang more than 100 students kami every semester. And that's quite a lot, considering that the School of Economics is not that big. And ayun, parang since then, unfortunately, of course, the pandemic, we couldn't hold those auditorium classes anymore. Pero even in Zoom, marami pa rin nagde-demand na makapasok doon sa ganong klaseng course. So I mean, this is just another way by which economics teachers can really enrich their materials, not just by linking concepts to current events, but also past events. And students really find that very useful.
Yeah, it's good, Prof. JC, na even if may pandemic, you're still engaging other people through social media. Nakakatuwa nga po na one time nakita ko po yung tweet nyo about dun sa question na is the Philippines an agricultural country? Tapos, di ba, nag-spark nga po yun ng debate. And yeah, I was happy reading that thread kasi nag-spark siya ng question sa mga Filipinos. Kasi yung assumption na we are still an agricultural country, maraming naniniwala dun until now. So I think that's one way, di ba, of engaging people through media, di ba? And it's good po na it's coming from an economist like you. So maybe we can talk about that next time. Kung agricultural country pa ba ang Philippines.
Buti sana kung discussions lang pero Pati trolling na spark niya.
Yun naman po yung downside sa social media.
Which actually tells you a lot about the quality of discourse that we have right now. Na kahit
Mm.
na, even if you just ask simple questions or make simple statements based on data anyway, parang there's an unnecessary level of debate going on na parang why dispute statistics, for example. Ganun ba tayo ka-distrustful of statistics in this day and age? Or ganun ba tayo ka-distrustful sa subject matter experts? Unfortunately, ito na yung diskurso natin na parang talagang nabago ng social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok yung paraan ng pakikipag-usap natin sa isa't isa. So, it just makes me a bit sad na ganun parang what have we come to as a nation na parang sino pa ang paniniwalaan natin kung mga journalists, mga subject matter experts ay pinagdududahan natin and there's too much vitriol on things that are evidence-based and fact-based anyway. So, ganun, parang sometimes you get cynical and parang gusto mo na lang sumuko na. Parang just retreat in your own personal life and don't care so much about social issues. Pero hindi parang you cannot give up that space. And even among economists, I would suggest that now is the time to really step up and put yourselves out there because people need to hear our insights. And we must not give up that space to charlatans, for example,
Yeah.
or people who promote distrust in facts, in truth, and statistics. Ganun, parang it's a sorry state of affairs, but yeah, there's a lot of work to be done.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Social media presents us with both opportunities and challenges. It's a double-edged sword. Economists can now share their insights with just one click, but at the same time, it also gave charlatans the opportunity to spread lies. So, kailangan tuloy-tuloy lang yung pagpupush natin ng discourse. Sana yung respectful, hindi yung full of manipulation. So, that's another challenge.
I guess on the part of FEF and FNF, that means you need to put out this podcast a lot more often or
Yes.
develop more content like this. So you need you have your work cut out for you as well.
That's right. Prof. JC, do you want to promote your podcast?
Yes, please. So we have this podcast, Usapang Econ Podcast, where we try to make economics fun and relatable. So we talk about economic issues in Filipino or Taglish. And in fact, we have this upcoming season. We will be having this podcast all about the intersection between economics and good governance. So watch out for that. And aside from that, we have a lot more content on YouTube. We have explainer videos. We have our website, our blog, usapangecon.com. And we're on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter. So make sure to subscribe and follow us there.
Thank you so much, Prof. JC.
If you enjoyed this episode, use the hashtag ECONvo and visit the Foundation for Economic Freedom's Facebook page for more updates. Kita-kits next time!